Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. This is Mira with Star Sisters Intuition. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night. And today, I got a really strong message or download from Spirit, and I wanted to give you guys that message as well. And obviously, by the title of this video, you can guess what it's about. It's about the higher self, or our higher selves. And I don't exactly know how I'm going to put this together, whether it's going to be like just a blank screen with the audio recording, or if it's if I'm going to have like words on the screen. But either way, just feel free to listen. And so what I wanted to talk about is who or what is your higher self, and like 1 or 2 practical steps that you can take to start embodying your higher self. And so I had to write down everything that came to me, so that way I don't forget it or miss anything. I feel sometimes through our journey, we can start to see our higher self as something outside of us, or something that is separate from us, or above us. And I guess the name also kind of plays off of that, because it's the higher self, so it kind of gives us the impression of something above us or outside of us. And because of this, it becomes difficult for us to actually embody our higher selves. But actually, our higher selves is us. We are our higher selves. And because we are our higher selves, we're able to tap into and embody the traits that are associated with our higher self whenever we want. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, because we're able to, rather than just looking at our higher self as something outside of us, we're actually able to understand that it is us, and so become our higher self. I hope that's making sense. I'm just giving it as it came to me. So yeah, this is obviously a very deep topic, and it goes into a lot of stuff, but I just had that message come in so strong. We are our higher selves, and not a separate entity. And because we are our higher selves, we can embody those traits that we associate with our higher self. And the only real difference between our current selves and our higher self is that our higher self does not have the limiting beliefs or fears that our current self has. And so because of that, our higher self is able to seem like something above us. And so then I started to really ask my guides, how can we embody our higher self? Because if the difference between our current self and our higher self is the limiting beliefs and fears that we're holding on to, how can we use those simple steps in our day-to-day life to move past those limiting beliefs and those fears? And I feel like there's a lot of information out there on this, but the thing that came to me is the first thing that we would need to do is to figure out what traits we associate with our higher self, what traits resonate with us, and make our image of our higher self. So we have to create a vision of our higher self, so that we can understand what traits and what qualities make that up in our mind. And I feel like you can do this in a lot of different ways. For example, you could write about your higher self and what they have and how they walk through their life, or how they've achieved their goals, or whatever. You can write about your higher self, or you can create a vision board of your higher self. It's gonna be very different for everybody. For me personally, I like to do a bit of both, having a vision board where I can kind of piece together visually what my higher self would be like, what traits would be associated with them, and also write out a story or write about my higher self. And then start to embody those traits, like start to create affirmations that embody those traits, that help me step into the traits that I associate with my higher self. And I'm saying they, but obviously, like, when you're considering this, think of it from your perspective. An example of this can be, what type of people is my higher self surrounded by? And then, envisioning yourself and how your higher self shows up in the world, how they present themselves, what they fill their time with, what kind of activities do they engage in, who do they surround themselves with, what are like their prominent thought patterns, how do they speak to themselves, and then like you'll start to get a really good idea of who your higher self is. And once you have that idea, you can start to actually slowly implement the change needed to embody those traits. And it's almost like creating an alter ego, because recently I also watched a video on alter egos, and it was really fascinating, and I really feel you should look into that if you're interested in that, because it can help you in so many ways. And embodying our higher self is almost like creating an alter ego in many ways. And like some of the ways you could affirm this to yourself, like in the beginning, so it doesn't seem so fake, is you could say like, every day I embody my higher self more and more. Or you could say, every day I come closer to embodying my higher self. That way, like I said, it doesn't feel so foreign, and you can slowly start to build that belief in yourself and your ability to embody your higher self's traits. And then when situations come up, instead of going with your initial reaction, take a step back to ask yourself how your higher self would deal with this situation, or go about it, or present themselves, or whatever it's obviously going to be different depending on the situation, but yeah, ask yourself how your higher self would show up to that, and then take steps to follow through on that. And it's not like I don't think that this change happens overnight, but the decision to make that change can happen overnight, and then slowly you can start building on that and actually embodying your higher self and overcoming your limiting beliefs and your fears. And obviously all of that is like a separate entire thing, overcoming limiting beliefs and overcoming fears or facing your fears. That's very separate, but it is a part of this process. And when you start to tell yourself that you embody your higher self, you are your higher self, and start to embody those traits, you will naturally be directed to doing the inner work to overcome your limiting beliefs and heal as a part of this process. And you could write down your limiting beliefs and fears and ask yourself if you still want to be associated with them. You still want to claim these limiting beliefs and these fears. And based on your answer, you can create a new affirmation, something to replace those limiting beliefs. For example, if your limiting belief is that I'm not worthy of this, like the salary that I want, or I'm not worthy of making whatever X amount of dollars a year, ask yourself if you still want to tell yourself, like, see the consequences of this limiting belief. Ask yourself what the consequences of this limiting belief are, and if you still want to associate yourself with that. And if not, then you can create an affirmation that helps you break out of that limiting belief. For example, you can say, I am worthy of the X amount of dollars that I want in my salary, or I am worthy of a high salary, whatever. Like, this is just an example, but apply it to your situation. And like I said, obviously this stuff goes a lot deeper, and this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. It's very surface level, but yeah, like, this topic can get so much deeper. And I had this download, this strong calling to give it out there for whoever needed to hear this. And I feel like this is a great place to start if you want to embody your higher self and actually step into your truest and most fulfilling life. And I feel like I could go on and on about this topic because it's honestly so deep and so fascinating, but I'm going to just leave it here, and I hope this really helps you in starting to embody your higher self. And that's the other thing. I feel like a lot of times we can say we want to connect to our higher self, and I started to switch that after receiving this download to say, I am embodying my higher self. I am my higher self. That way it's not, our mind doesn't keep associating the higher self as something above us or outside of us, but rather it starts to associate our higher self with us. And it makes it, in a way, easier to step into the traits and characteristics that make up our higher self. And it doesn't feel so foreign. Let me know if you guys like this type of video. I just felt really called to. I usually don't, but I had a really strong calling to give this. So if you like this type of video, please let me know. If you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Be sure to hit the bell icon so you're notified when I upload. I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I'll catch you in another reading or video. This is obviously not a reading, but yeah. Bye!